Thank you so much to the people who make these videos possible on Patreon, including the big patrons of this month, the Nerd Therapist and FanGirlStephie. Thanks, heroes. Hey, Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here. What if Mewtwo was good? Like, really good? What if, before Let's Go came out, I got to be a creative director on the game, and I got to sit down with the people who made the game, who are remaking it after years of Mewtwo's appearances in the show, in the movies, in the card games, in the main series, taking together all the strands of lore that built it up over Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Leaf Green and Fire Red, and said, hey, Mewtwo is cool. It's one of the most popular Pokemon in the world, and it's a bit of an edgelord. But the story could maybe be even better. What if I got to put my own creativity to it? How would I tell the story of Mewtwo? Of course, this is just a fun little creative exercise, so you're gonna have to let me know how you would improve Mewtwo's story in the comments, and with that being said, I'm going to jump into it. So, Mewtwo, first available in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, or Red and Green if you're in Japan. And it definitely left an impact. After all, it was the final boss. Only available once you've beaten the Elite Four and the Champion, you could enter Cerulean Cave, a cave filled with some of the most powerful Pokemon of the entire region, and sitting at the end, waiting for you, was Mewtwo. That was even cool by 1996 standards. But it was a little bit odd, because while certainly here in the West we all know what Mewtwo was about, after all it was the main antagonist of the first Pokemon movie and we had all seen it, because we all knew that Mewtwo had been created by Team Rocket and then was abused by them and then it escaped and it vowed for world destruction. Or if you read the manga, you knew it was brought to life as a result of Blaine's DNA being used to create it. In terms of the actual games, what we actually got, that story goes completely amiss. Mewtwo is almost never mentioned before that point. In fact, Mew is barely mentioned. It's only briefly mentioned in the Cinnabar Mansion in some diary entries. These logs, these diary entries, don't have any connection to Team Rocket at all. And in fact, if it wasn't for the Rainbow Rocket arc of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, in which Giovanni uses Mewtwo, we'd have no way to really know that Mewtwo even has anything to do with Team Rocket. And while personally I do like the breadcrumb trail and then coming up with your own story, heck, that's the definition of Pokemon theories, for doing something creative, I want to tie Mewtwo into the exact story of Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu, Red, Blue, Yellow, Leaf Green, Fire Red, whichever you choose. I want to make Mewtwo a core part of the story to help explain why Giovanni would actually have it in the Rainbow Rocket arc. So, to begin with, it's still going to be a final boss of the game. After all, it's right at the end of the Pokedex if you disregard Mew. That much is absolutely certain, but one of the core things that makes up Red, and I think it's really well displayed in Pokemon Origins, is that he catches like every other Pokemon before he gets Mewtwo. I'm not going to say that you need to do that, but what I will say is after defeating the Elite Four and the Champion, whichever Kanto game you're playing, you go to Professor Oak, and Professor Oak says, "Oh, fantastic, do you know there's really rare Pokemon called legendary Pokemon? If you keep coming to me, I'll be able to give you hints as to where you can catch them." Professor Oak will send you to the Seafoam Islands, where you can meet Articuno, to Victory Road, where you can meet Moltres, or to the Power Plant, where you can meet Zapdos. And only once you've caught all three will Professor Oak say, "Ooh, you know, I've heard rumours of another legendary Pokemon in Cerulean Cave. I heard it's causing quite a buzz and lots of trainers have gone there trying to find it." And so only now do you go to Cerulean Cave, supposedly having seen every other Pokemon. And it's not too long before you arrive at Cerulean Cave and you find lots of trainers outside of the cave. They all want to get in because they've heard there's a really rare Pokemon, but supposedly Team Rocket have come and they've kicked them all out. Team Rocket, you think? No, Team Rocket have been disbanded. But sure enough, you find your way into Cerulean Cave, and there, as you travel through navigating the puzzle and navigating all of the incredibly powerful Pokemon, you also find Team Rocket Grunts, and they are at the top of their game. Using Pokemon like Rhydon and Nidoking and Nidoqueen, using Weezing and Arbok. They are there, and they all have the sentiment that they are refusing to go down. That while Giovanni may have abandoned them, Team Rocket is still here, and it's still ready to win. As you get deeper into the cave, you find more Team Rocket scientists with Porygons and Dittos. And right at the end, you find Archer. It was really weird to me that they had Archer reappear in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee only for like one section of the game. It was very easily a post-game opportunity here. After all, he is the main grunt who heads up the operations in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And he starts unveiling what Team Rocket have been doing this whole time throughout your whole playthrough. The whole reason they were at Mount Moon looking for fossils, they were actually in the wrong place. While fossils of Kabuto and Omanyte are great, what what they're actually looking for is the fossil of a Pokemon called Mew. They had one long ago and they used it to create a new Pokemon, Mewtwo. But when the Pokemon went rampaging, the lab went up in flames and the fossil went with it. Supposedly though, they can find a fossil of this Pokemon here in Cerulean Cave, and you won't stop them. Archer gives you a battle as tough as any that Giovanni ever gave you. And of course, you engage him. This is Team Rocket. You need to take them down. Only Archer was stalling for time. And in that time, the Team Rocket grunts have taken the fossil. Now, maybe Archer will tell you, maybe the clues will be left by other trainers, or maybe you'll just work it out, but you know exactly where they're taking this fossil, to Cinnabar Island, to the old labs. Now, there are 2 scientific laboratories on Cinnabar Island. One of them is the more up-to-date, recent one where they can resurrect the fossils of Omanyte and Kabuto, and one of them is the old one that has the old machine where Mewtwo was originally created. In my telling of the story, maybe not in yours, the modern, up-to-date one is going to be left entirely alone. Team Rocket know that they have to keep this operation underground, and so they take back over the abandoned mansion, the abandoned laboratory. Team Rocket grunts inside will explain that this mansion used to belong to the Fuji brothers. Mr. Fuji, who lives in Lavender Town, he used to be a Team Rocket scientist, and Blaine Fuji, who runs the gym. Blaine got the gym, and Mr. Fuji got the mansion. But he abandoned the mansion when he abandoned Team Rocket, when Mewtwo destroyed this lab and escaped. As you keep searching through, you might find the other Team Rocket admins from Hot Gold Soul Silver. There's Ariana, and Proton, and Proto as well, is that another one? Or am I forgetting his name? I feel like I'm getting the name wrong. As you make your way through the mansion, these Team Rocket admins will explain that the whole reason they were after the Master Ball, the whole reason they need it, is to capture the most powerful Pokemon. But now with that not being an option, they're going to do the next best thing. They're just going to create another Mewtwo. However, you get to the end and you meet Archer once again, and Archer is infuriated because the lab has been so badly damaged that simply cloning it and creating a new Mewtwo is not going to work. Mewtwo is a one-of-a-kind Pokemon. However, Archer wonders, do you still have your Master Ball? It doesn't really matter whether you do or not in this version of the game. What matters is he decides that you're a skilled enough trainer to be able to catch Mewtwo. He won't tell you that this is exactly why he's doing what he's doing. Instead, he's going to say, we know where Mewtwo is. It's on an island that's not far off the coast of Kanto. New Island. The island that, of course, appears in the first movie. So, Archer leaves Cinnabar Island, much in the same way that in Fire Red and Leaf Green, you would leave to go to the Sevi Islands. He takes his boat filled with Team Rocket grunts. And when you get to the docks of Cinnabar Island, there are a few ace trainers. The same ones that were at the Cerulean Cave earlier, and they've heard that the most powerful Pokemon in the world is at New Moon Island. These are the rumors going around at the moment, and they are all very excited. Much like in the first Pokemon movie, they take their Pokemon and they voyage out to the island, and you pursue them. Maybe by way of a special route that has now opened up, or perhaps a boat that will take you specifically to this event location. And you reach New Moon Island. There you begin your pursuit of Archer, who says he's going to find this legendary Pokemon at all costs. He's gonna take it, and every time that you try and pursue him or get past grunts, another one of these ace trainers get in your way. They say if they're gonna be ready for the strongest Pokemon, they've got to make sure they have the strongest team in the world. Perhaps their teams even resemble those that appear in the Pokemon First movie, with them each having a Venusaur, a Charizard, and a Blastoise. These are the most powerful Pokemon trainers in all of Kanto. Your journey around the island takes you through an outdoors area, an indoors area, a research lab, specifically a research lab dedicated to cloning, and at the end, a stadium where you find Archer. And Archer has already been beat. There at the end of the stadium is Mewtwo. And Mewtwo, while it doesn't talk to you directly, you can understand it telepathically. You understand that it just wanted to live in isolation with its clone Pokemon, and yet again, Team Rocket has come after it. So now it will do the only thing it can do. It's going to start destroying humans, starting with you. And here you will have your first epic battle against Mewtwo. And I say your first because you won't be battling Mewtwo as a Pokemon, but rather as a Pokemon trainer. It will have its clone Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise, and these Pokemon will have improved stats. Perhaps he'll have an arsenal of other strong Pokemon. Perhaps he'll have a clone Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos, or something like that. He's going to have a strong team. You're going to battle him, but you won't get the chance to catch him. Not yet, because there's one more step. At the end of the battle, Mewtwo comes to understand how you're feeling, and that you never had any intention of trying to catch Mewtwo. He reads your mind that you didn't have any intention to hurt Mewtwo, and that Team Rocket in general are just the worst. Mewtwo decides to see the world and decide for himself. And so he flies off into the sky, leaving New Island behind him. Archer, of course, was hoping that you get the chance to catch Mewtwo using your Master Ball or your Ultra Balls or whatever, and it's sad that he couldn't just steal Mewtwo from you. He vows that Team Rocket will return, and he takes his grunts and leaves. And you leave as well, back to mainland Kanto, back to catching Pokemon and completing the Pokedex. And once you have, which at this point in the game you absolutely should have at least seen every Pokemon, you are notified by Oak that Mewtwo has returned to Cerulean Cave. There, you visit it as you would normally, and there it tells you that it's seen the world, which explains how Mewtwo can be in caves in other games like X and Y, that it's seen the world, that it's travelled a bit, that it even contemplated in staying some of those places. But for some reason, it's drawn to this place, it's drawn to this cave, and you know it's because that's where Mew's fossil is found. And Mewtwo accepts your challenge, knowing that not any trainer could have come this far, and not any trainer is worthy of taking hold of it and adding it to the team. That is where you battle and finally capture Mewtwo. And that is how I would make Mewtwo just a little bit cooler. Of course, get creative in the comments, because this is a series all about me, again, reading your comments. I've already done the one video on Shaman, how to fix Shaman's terrible lore, and I might do more side mythical Pokemon like that, but I hadn't even really considered Mewtwo for this series until realizing that, yeah, it just stands there in a cave and we don't know how it's tied to Team Rocket. So this is how I would improve its story, but I would love to hear how you would, of course, in the comments. And of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a